Hi everyone, I'm Louise Whitaker. I'm a current graduate student at the University of Miami studying interactive media. And this was a project that I put together about infant mortality specifically in the US. We can start the video. So it's actually a website, but since I don't have a computer here, I'm just gonna kind of talk. This is kind of a walkthrough of the page that I created. And my focus was in infant mortality, specifically in the United States. And I started off, here we go. I started off looking at data across the world and saw that from 1950 to present day, that infant mortality is defined as the number of babies that die before their first birthday per every 1,000 born. So this is the infant mortality across the world, and as you can see, it's declined. And my first question was, okay, well, where does the United States fall on this? And so you can see it looks pretty good when you compare it to the rest of the world. But when I took away all of the other countries and just focused on high-income developed countries, it was a totally different story. And as you can see at the beginning, it didn't start off as the worst, but it is certainly the worst now. And then this graph is a bar chart that shows that in 1960, the United States falls somewhere in the middle, but by 1990, it fell to the fourth worst. And by 2015, it was the worst by almost 1%. And so I kind of wanted to look into, well, why is this? What factors could cause the United States to have this problem? And one of the first things that I noticed was that the United States has a significantly higher preterm birth rate than any of the other developed countries. And the United States is highlighted in orange. And as you can see, if you hover over it on any of these graphs, you can see where it falls on all the little bar charts below. And so, looking at the preterm birth rate, it was significant. The United States is a significant outlier in this. But then I wanted to look at other factors as well. So I looked at the Gini Index, which measures equality across different countries. The closer a country is to 100%, the more unequal it is. So you want a score of 0% for a totally equal country, which there aren't any. But the United States, out of all the high-income developed countries, has the most inequality in it. And you can see it up there. It falls at 45% on the Gini Index. And then I looked at the adolescent birth rate, so teen births. It's an issue that we talk about a lot in the United States, and New Zealand is actually one of the other outliers with the United States on this, but as you can see in the bar charts below, it has a lot of similar issues to the United States too. But having the highest adolescent birth rate was also an interesting piece that I found. But what's even more interesting is we know that the United States spends the most per capita on healthcare. So interestingly enough, that the United States would have a problem like this considering they spend the most. We would think that we would be able to spend our way out of this problem, but obviously not. I also looked at some other factors like obesity, just kind of to see about general health in the country, as well as the maternal mortality. But then from there, I wanted to break down the issues within the United States. And I found some really significant data that looked at different groups across the United States and found that babies born to Black women are twice as likely to die before their first birthday as babies born to white women, Hispanic women, and Asian women. So we have a huge inequality problem in the United States, as this is evidence. This shows evidence of that. We also have the highest preterm birth rate, and babies born before 34 weeks are over 20 times more likely than babies born at full term to pass away before they're more than likely to pass away. And then I looked at the mother's age, and that also played a factor, given that we have the highest adolescent birth rate, and babies born to women under the age of 20 are also more likely to pass away, and that's due to many factors, such as them not being able to get adequate prenatal care, which is then the next thing that I wanted to look into. And I was shocked to find that in the United States, only 60% of women receive what is considered adequate prenatal care. And the different groups, as you can see, Native American women as well as Black women are less likely to receive adequate prenatal care than their white counterparts, as well as women under the age of 20 are also less likely. So the next piece that I looked into was the top causes of death of infants in the United States. And there's this giant other category that I'll hover over in a second here. Yeah, so there's the other category. But the next one is birth defects, many of which are caused by preterm birth, things like that. But then there's also the low birth rate, which is the second highest, which is directly correlated to preterm births in the United States. And then the one below it is maternal complications, which if more women were receiving adequate prenatal care, a lot of these deaths could be avoided as well. From there, I wanted to look at kind of the highs and lows of the United States and see where these problems were. And in the South is where the biggest problem is. The infant mortality in some of these southern states is 9.6 as compared to the US's average of about 5.6. And so this is Mississippi. On this tooltip, you can see the United States is the lighter orange and the state is the darker orange on these dot plots. And you can see the births by race and births by age of mother. And in Mississippi, there are more babies born to Black women, and there are also more babies born to teen moms in Mississippi. So that could help account for why they have a higher preterm birth or a higher infant mortality rate when we've looked at the fact that babies born to Black women as well as teen moms are more likely to die before their first birthday. And then Alabama has very similar issues, as you can see on here. Again, more Black babies, or more babies are born to Black women, as well as more babies born to teen moms than the United States' average. And then I think I hover over Louisiana here in a second to show the same point. Yeah. And so, yeah, it was very interesting to look at the different states and see that there is kind of sort of a regional problem here as well. And then the last part of the project, these were these mini bar charts, and they look at data in all of the states. And if you hover over one bar, you can see where the state falls on all of the bars, which did here. This one's infant mortality. There's Massachusetts, the lowest, Mississippi at the highest. You can see where it falls on all of the other different charts. And you can see that has the highest preterm birth rate, and interestingly enough, the lowest abortion rate of all of the states. And what I noticed from this was you can't point to any particular issue and say this is exactly why infant mortality is high in a particular state, but we can definitely see that there are trends, different issues. Louisiana and Alabama having higher preterm birth rates as well, generally having higher poverty rates, and higher obesity rates as well. So just kind of looking at different factors and seeing that while there was no direct cause, we can see lots of different issues that create that. And then Massachusetts, which had a higher abortion rate, for example, lower obesity rates. They have the lowest teen birth rate in the United States out of all of the states. And so they're looking at that. So yeah, this was a project that I put together in Lynn Cherney's class. I coded it all by hand in D3. So that was an interesting experience in and of itself, learning D3 for the first time. I knew JavaScript going into it, but nothing like this. And D3 is definitely a difficult thing to learn to do. And as I go down here, you can see all of the sources. We started off with UNICEF data in this class, and then I kind of took my own route and started looking at specifically the United States. The CDC had a lot of data on this, as well as the Kaiser Family Foundation, and other government websites like the census. So, yeah, and then I think here in a second it should show. Yep, there's the link to the webpage if you want to check it out and play with it. And there's my contact information. So yeah, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate it.